wonderful, warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for being at Unity of Bloomington this morning. Please join me in saying this affirmation together. We are Unity of Bloomington. We provide inspiration, tools, and practices that support people on their path of spiritual growth. We teach and live unconditional love, universal truth, and abundant life. Now, please join me and stand and sing our first hymn today. Angels from the realms of glory, wing your flight o'er all the earth. Ye who sang creation's story, now proclaim Messiah's birth. Come and worship, worship Christ the newborn King. Shepherds in the fields of mighty, watching o'er your flocks by night. God with man is now residing, yonder shines the infant light. Come and worship, worship Christ the newborn King. Please take a moment now and greet your neighbor. Please be seated. Please be seated. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Good morning. It's a little different today. Yeah. Well, it's a transition time. So things are always different in transition times. And this is the third Sunday of Advent. We've been talking about the different spiritual paths that lead to an awareness of infinite love and wisdom within us, all around us. And we've been using these Advent candles to represent those paths. Now, traditionally, the 4 candles represent hope, peace, love, and joy. And we join with churches everywhere that are acknowledging that. Today's theme is love. The daily word for today is about love. The reading in the Advent bulletin this week, they're all about love. Love as an energy, a reality of flow that we can align with. Love as an action that we can take to make a difference in our lives and in others' lives. So 2 weeks ago, we lit one of these candles to represent the path of the heart, the path of emotion, devotion, praise, gratitude, probably the most common spiritual path. That's the path of Mary and Joseph, of devotion and faith. Last week we lit a candle for the path of the mind, the 3 kings, the scientists of their day. It's the path of science. It's the path of spiritual principle, of thought control, of philosophy. Very common path in unity. We like unity because we like what unity teaches. That's that path. Today, we're lighting the path of mysticism, the path of contemplative prayer, the path of spiritual experience. Traditionally, it was thought that this path was reserved for a select few. In the yoga tradition, it's called Raja Yoga, the princely path. In the Christian tradition, they took the mystics and locked them up in convents and monasteries because they were troublemakers. They got all kinds of strange ideas, and so they had to keep them away. It's something that's available for all of us. This mystical path, the path of meditation, of contemplative prayer, is central to unity. And as far as all the churches in town go, well, we're one of the only ones that have a real meditation time. And so as our tradition is, we have different members of the community, families, come and light one of the Advent candles here as soon as this thing lights. We're going to have Luke and Mabry come. So this purple one here, if that will keep burning, well, let's do it.
It's still going.
Okay, let me break that off. Yeah. A valid spiritual path, our spiritual path, or the spiritual practice that many of us would use, the contemporary path of spiritual experience and mystical prayer. Today we're talking about the shepherds and everything that goes with the shepherds, sheep and predators and angels. in our tradition, we find within ourselves the different elements of Scripture, of stories. And the sheep represent thoughts. Count sheep to go to sleep. Well, count your thoughts. Just notice your thoughts to go to sleep. It's an effective practice. So, shepherds manage the flocks. As the shepherd, we manage our thoughts. Sometimes our thoughts seem to have a life of their own. They're all over the place. Now, this isn't the same as focusing our thoughts as a creative energy. This is acknowledging that all sorts of things are going through our minds all the time. A number of people say all the time, I can't meditate. My thoughts are just all over the place. I can't stop my thinking. Well, all of us have wild herds of sheep going through our minds, and we have to learn somehow to manage them. Okay? They seem to have a life of their own. Well, sometimes sheep gets frightened by things. Sometimes they get upset by things and stampede. Sometimes we have stampedes in our minds. Now, sometimes those stampedes are interesting or fun, like binging on a TV series. If you've done that, you've noticed that TV series just keeps going through your mind for a while. Or reading a book that you can't put down. Or getting caught up with the World Cup or NFL football or basketball. Just, the mind just goes on and on with it. It's like a stampede of the sheep. Well, but sometimes things come up and frighten the sheep, that disturb our thinking, that are unpleasant. Things like fear, worry, anxiety can cause a whole uncomfortable series of thoughts that come up. The same thing could be true of anger, resentment, hatred, or guilt, shame, regret. That we can, and so those things need to be managed. We could call those kinds of things, fear, anger, shame, predators, because they disturb the health of the flock. Okay? We have to notice the predators. We have to be honest about them. We have to recognize them in order to be able to deal with them. So shepherds, their job was to stay awake at night and watch their flocks. Make sure that they stayed where they needed to be, to keep their eye out for predators that would come and prey upon their flock and endanger the whole thing. Guard and protect them. So can you see how this is a mental activity that we participate in? It's an activity that we do in a lot of different meditation techniques. So, sometimes I was questioned, predators? We're talking about predators here? Yeah. Maybe you've noticed that whenever you meditate, whenever you take the time to turn inside and stay awake to what's going on within you, sometimes you're surprised by the things you find there. Sometimes they're a little bit disturbing. Now, in our tradition, there's the temptation to say, cancel, cancel. I don't want to look at that. I'm just going to focus on the good. I had an awakening about that in ministerial school. I started ministerial school with my former wife, and shortly after we started, and we were, meditators. We were positive. We were optimistic about what's going to happen. Well, it didn't. After a short period of time, she fell in love with someone else, and I was devastated. But, now wait a minute, I'm in ministerial school. I have all of these years of experience as a, yogi. I'm just going to be positive about this. And so I was meditating. Okay, I'm just going to meditate this away. I'm going to deal with this by going deep within to the presence of love deep within me. So I was meditating about this, and a creative idea came up within me, a wonderfully creative idea on how I could ruin this guy's reputation. Yeah. Now, I didn't do it, but I was surprised by that. So it's like, whoa, where did that come from? It came from within me. You see, we have within us the presence of God, but we have within us the consciousness of all of us. And sometimes we're surprised by when it comes up. Okay, so that woke me up to the reality of there is more than just everything's fine. That we had to recognize what the elements of the shadow, things that I didn't want to look at, things that aren't acceptable to admit. So that idea came up, and so it got me interested in the idea of evil, because that was an evil thought that I had. No matter how creative it was not nice. And it could have been very effective, but it could have caused a lot of harm. So I didn't do it. But I also didn't deal with the loss that I was feeling, because I was still all caught up with being positive. Okay, now I know that I have to be conscious of all the different parts of myself, but did I look at the feelings of loss and grief? No, I didn't. I just let myself spiral down into depression. And because I wasn't dealing with events in my life in a positive, upbeat, Unity way, I was expelled from Unity's ministerial program. Surprise. So the previous year, I had taken some classes at a Methodist seminary, and they had given me a full scholarship for an MDiv program to pay for it. But I stopped that and went to Unity, because Unity was my family. That's where I was supposed to be. Well, boom, I got booted out of Unity. I went back to the Methodist seminary. Does that mean I'm going to be a Methodist? I had a job working at a Presbyterian church. I had a job as a chaplain in a Presbyterian retirement community. I spoke at UCC churches. There was an idea that wouldn't let me go. And the idea was, unity is my family. Unity is where I belong. So after a year at another year there, or more than a year at the Methodist Seminary, some of my classmates that were teachers at Unity School ended up being in charge of the Unity's ministerial program, and I slid back into Unity's ministerial program. Took me 5 years to complete the 2-year course, but I had a wonderful education and an uncomfortable period of emotional and spiritual growth. That idea that unity is my family wouldn't let me go. Kept me oriented. I didn't know how it was going to work out. I didn't know what it meant. It was like the angels that appeared to the shepherds. Angels represent inspirational thoughts, divine ideas that break in and surprise us. A lot of times they don't make sense. A lot of times they're disturbing. Have you seen an angel? Imagine if a big angel appeared to you. In the Bible, you know what happens when an angel appears? The first thing they said is, "Whoa, don't be afraid. Fear not, for behold." Well, sometimes those angels are disturbing, but they're transformative insights. I know you've had them. Sometimes we have spiritual experiences, remarkable insights, strange ideas that come up that don't fit in the box that we live in, that are kind of outside of our normal way of life and understanding. And you know what we do with those? We forget them because we don't know where to put them in our consciousness. Most people have spiritual experiences. They might just be called coincidences, or just, what a funny thought that was. We pay attention to the funny thoughts. See, angels, divine ideas are everywhere. Now, there may be some creatures, spiritual beings that are like angels. I haven't seen any, but I've had some powerful and interesting ideas come up and experiences, some with animals, some with people that have passed on. They're common. They're so common, there's a whole, spiritualism is a whole spiritual denomination. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, was once asked if they believed in spiritualism, in contacting the spirits of people that have passed on. He said, "No, what makes you think that Aunt Millie, once she has passed on, knows any more now than she did when she was here?" Maybe something about what it's like later. He said, "No, go to Jesus. Go to source." So, any experiences that you've had, you want to hold on to them because they are powerful teaching things. It's a phrase that's that Jesus used in his teachings. Those who have eyes to see will see. Have eyes to see. Where do you get eyes to see? One of the ways you get eyes to see, to notice spiritual reality, is to close them and turn inside in meditation and contemplative prayer, is to practice spiritual principles. As we do that, we are more likely to recognize the inspirational ideas that come up in our lives. Some might seem really mysterious and weird. Some might be easy to dismiss as coincidence. So, they are all doorways, openings to spiritual consciousness. I want you to think about ones that you've had. Wendy Wonderly's going to share one that she had as a way of inviting you to remember yours. I think that's on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's.
It looks like it's on. How about now?
Yeah.
Well, a number of years ago, Karen and I took a trip to Peru. And it was a very spiritual trip. We went down to, specifically to meet with the spirituality there, to explore the sacred sites and do ceremony with the shaman there. And I wasn't a stranger to that. I had trained in that tradition for a couple of years prior. And so I was really excited about it. But I was also apprehensive, being a white, middle-class woman going down. And so we went in a couple of days beforehand, and we were just being tourists. And we were walking along the cliffs of Lima, which are very, I don't know if you've been there, but they're very tall. And there are all these birds soaring above, and I was just fascinated with them, these huge black things up there in the sky, very, very high. And one day we'd had just a wonderful day, and we were walking back along these cliffs, and you couldn't see them, but the birds were probably up there because I was looking for them, and what I saw was a feather coming down into my hand. This feather. And it made me feel so, it was such a sacred gift. It made me feel so welcome and so happy to be there. And it was also, being a feather, a reminder to, okay, time to fly. Aim high, fly with God. Now's the time, step into it. So that's my spiritual experience. And just sitting here, I saw one of those birds flying out there just a moment ago. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. You have them. You've had them. You will have them. They're doorways to higher consciousness. They're pathways to peace. They are ways into the mystical connection with all that is, into oneness and order and flow. That's what people that practice meditation or contemplative prayer, as they call it in Western spirituality. Meditation in the Eastern is the same as contemplative prayer in the Western sense. It's an openness to experience. It's an awareness of our inner world and being conscious on an inner journey. A significant, important part of unity. Charles Fillmore said, in answer to what do you people do in unity, he said, enter the silence and affirm the truth. Experience the silence. Embark on the mystical path of meditation and focus your mind to make a difference in your life and in the world through affirmative prayer. So those two forms of prayer, those two forms of entering into the consciousness of the divine, silence and affirmation. So, we're going to have a little experience of meditation. There are lots of different meditation techniques. There are probably many different meditation techniques that are present in this room because we're spiritual seekers. We've tried a lot of them. I have a number of them, and it's like, okay, what do I do today? Sometimes I say in a more devotional way, how can I come closer to you today? And so I get an idea of a particular practice that I will use to get quiet, to enter into the silence. And there in the silence, like the shepherds, we watch and listen and wait. Stay awake to what's happening. Recognize some thoughts that might distract us. Recognize some thoughts that might threaten our living, our quality of life. And just notice that there are a lot of thoughts that are just there. We let them be there and watch them. But in order to get to that place of silence, we need to do something. We're going to sing a couple songs today. We're going to do some chanting. That usually means in some strange foreign language. Now, these are in English, but it's the same kind. They're written by people that have experienced chanting in other traditions, but said, well, we can write some in our own language. And so we're going to sing two songs, a circle chant and I Am as God Created Me, and allow that to give our mind something to do so that we can drop down below the level of the ordinary activity of mind, a place of quiet where we can listen, watch, and wait. So, join in. The words are really simple. They'll be on the screen, but you'll learn them like that.
In this circle of love, in this circle of peace, in this circle of love, in this circle of peace, I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security in this circle of love, in this circle of peace, in this circle of love, in this circle of peace. I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security in this circle of love, in this circle of peace, in this circle of love, in this circle of peace. I circle of peace. I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security in this circle of love, in this circle of peace. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am.
Settle. Let yourself settle into quietness. Breath moving smoothly. Body supported by the chair, surrendering to the earth. Becoming aware in the quietness and darkness within. Smooth breathing. Easy being. Just noticing. Being a witness, an observer of your inner world. Watching your sheep. Get comfortable there. And allow yourself to settle into the quietness, into the pure being of the holy soul that you are. Notice your breath. And follow the sensation of your breath back to your body, back to this room, back to time and space. So you entered the silence. What truth would you affirm? Did something come up for you that you want to remember? Is there an intention that you would set? Any other thought that you want to give some energy to as you prepare to return to the activity of your daily life? You do so with a sense of love and sweet security. In this circle of love, in this circle of peace, in this circle of love, in this circle of peace, I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security, in this circle of love, in this circle of peace. So it is. We take this circle, we take this sense of security and love and oneness with us into our relationships, into our dreams, into our projects and difficulties. So now we bless the coming week. We bless the time that we spend in whatever we're going to do, the talents, skills that we offer to the world. We bless the treasure that we would give in support of Unity of Bloomington, the treasure we would give to family, friends, to the world. We're going to declare an affirmation about that, blessing it all, before our love offering blessing. And now I just realized that it's sitting in a circle like this, the people in the front row have trouble getting a prayer request card because it's behind you. Okay? Or if you're a newcomer, there's a welcome, there's a first impressions letter that we would like you to look at. So if you have a prayer request, or if you would like to be part of the prayer team here at Unity of Bloomington, you can put that on that card and put it in the offering basket when it goes by. So for our time, our talents, our treasure, individually, in community, in the world, we declare this abundance blessing together. I am an abundant being, living in an abundant universe. God is the source of my supply. I always have something to give, and I give it. I expect the best, I give my best, and now I attract my best in every experience. Wait a minute. Wait. Let's do the love offering blessing.
Sorry.
Yeah. See, I change things around all the time. You can tell, right? Yeah. All right. So, see, okay. So we're going to bless the giving of the love offering that we're giving here with these words. But we're also blessing everything that we do with these words. Let's declare them together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And now we can sing another carol.
It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophet bards foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of old, when peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendors gleam, and the whole world send back the song which now the angels sing.
Thank you for your support of Unity of Bloomington. Your gifts are dedicated to do the work of universal truth, unconditional love, and abundant life. So it is. So we have a number of announcements. We've been meeting on Thursday nights, a group of 15, 20 of us, brainstorming about what to do. Somebody suggested, let's make a circle on Sunday morning. Well, here we are. What do you think? It looks really nice when you come in. You think we should continue it? Some people they like coming into the traditional orientation towards the front and be centered there. Maybe when we finish the renovation, the front will be a little bit better. What do you think? Should we continue with something in a circle? Yeah. Okay. How many would prefer more traditional? Well, that's pretty clear. All right. Okay. Just because you did that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay. So we get your opinion. So we'll continue with something like this. What else do we have here? Service for Janet Jaffe today at 4 o'clock at Woodley, Woolery Mill. Jonna has an announcement about new members.
All right, thank you. So we had some interest in membership, and we would like to ask anybody who might be interested in setting their intention and commitment to Unity of Bloomington to please do that. We would like to have a new member ceremony, if you will. We call it a spiritual baptism in January. But we need to have your membership applications before the board members, before the board meetings, And the board meetings are December 14th, so this week, and then also January 18th. And then the board reviews them and approves them and then lets you know officially. So again, we would like to have a spiritual baptism on the Lunar New Year, which is January 22nd. And our membership annual meeting, wherever all of the members gather and vote on things and talk about stuff as a full house membership team, is Sunday, February 5th, which is the Wolf Full Moon and the celebration of Imbolc and Candlemas.
And Groundhog Day.
And Groundhog, there you go, throw that one in there too. And so applications are out on the table if you want one. Doris, our administrative assistant, also can help you to that. We can get electronic forms sent to people who might be considering that online. And we look forward to gathering as one community in February, Sunday, February the 5th. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jonna. So this Thursday, we're having another meeting where we kind of brainstorming about different elements of unity of Bloomington to increase the energy here, because the energy is the key, okay? That opens us to the spiritual energy. So I mentioned the Silent Unity prayer team. So join us for that, 6:30 on Thursday. Then that's suspended for a few weeks. That'll resume in the new year. Is that all? Any other joys, concerns, announcements? Then we can stand up and come on around and let's fill in this circle. Oh, this is a nice size circle. Yeah. We're going to declare the words of the prayer for protection. For whom? For us, individually in this room, for our ancestors, for our descendants, for people around the world. We know that there is an us that is large and inclusive. And for that largeness, that inclusivity, we declare these words together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
That
Choir practice.